The first time I realized my new quiet lake house wasn't going to be quiet was when a white Lexus rolled up at 7:03 a.m. and a woman I'd never met marched across my lawn like she owned the place. Behind her clipboards, a surveyor's tripod and two sheriff's deputies looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. And she said loud enough for the water to hear, "You've got 48 hours to stop using this lake, or we'll take it from you." I'd been in the house for less than 2 days. I'd bought the cottage to breathe again Wisconsin air, old wood floors, the kind of silence you can actually feel in your chest. My wife Emma had been gone a year, and the old place we shared felt like living inside an echo. So I sold it, took what I could, and found Cedar Hollow Lake. A small town, a small shoreline, and a home built in the 1890s that looked like it had survived worse than grief. I was still unpacking when the garage door was open, and I heard heels click sharp, confident, like a metronome. I turned, and there she was, sunglasses on, hair perfect, holding a thick folder like it was a warrant. "Donna Whitman," she said before I could even ask. "President of Cedar Hollow Shores Homeowners Association, 11 years. She didn't offer a hand. She offered rules. She flipped open the folder and started reading like she was doing my taxes. Dock compliance, shoreline uniformity, exterior modifications, community standards. Then she looked up and smiled like it was friendly, but it didn't reach her eyes. "And your new owner fees," she added. $200 today, plus the monthly dues, $450. I actually laughed, just a short, confused sound. "I'm not in the HOA. Donna's smile stayed right where it was. "You live here. That means you are." I told her calmly, "My deed says otherwise." She leaned in like she was sharing a secret. "Deeds can be misunderstood. Don't worry, we educate people." Then she slid that folder toward me like it was inevitable. There was a welcome packet, sure-colored tabs, forms a page about approved mailbox paint colors, a sign-up for the holiday committee, and right on top, a line that said, "Failure to pay results in lien action." I didn't sign a thing. Donna's face tightened for half a second, just enough to show the mask was work. "I'll give you until Friday," she said. "After that, we move forward." And she walked away through my garage like she'd just inspected a rental. That night I called my attorney, Linda Harper, the kind of lawyer who doesn't waste oxygen on dramatic words. I emailed her the packet. 10 minutes later she called me back and said, "Jack, you're not subject to their covenants. Do not pay them. Do not sign anything. And stop talking to that woman without someone listening." I slept better for exactly one night, because once Donna realized I wasn't folding, the HOA didn't just send reminders, they launched a campaign. First came the emails. Everyone in the neighborhood copied my name, floating in their inboxes like a warning label. Unauthorized shoreline use, unapproved dock structure, non-compliant owner refusing community standards. Then came the letters. Real letterhead, fake confidence, words like cease and desist in bold. Then came the emergency meeting. I showed up because I'm not the type to hide when someone's trying to write my story for me. I walked into the clubhouse and it felt like a middle school cafeteria, clusters of people, whispering eyes, darting, nobody wanting to be the first one to sit next to the problem. Donna stood at the front with a projector like she was presenting a quarterly report. Up popped a photo of my dock, taken from an angle that made it look like I'd built a pirate ship. She pointed at the screen with a pen. "This," she said, "is not consistent with community aesthetics, and this homeowner has refused to comply." I raised a hand. "I'm not a homeowner in your association." Donna didn't miss a beat. "He owns property inside the community boundary." I said, "That doesn't automatically bind me." A murmur ran through the room because everybody understood exactly what this was. If she could do it to me, she could do it to them. Donna's voice got sweeter. "We all sacrifice for harmony," she said, "and if one person refuses, we all suffer." It was manipulative in the calmest way possible. On my way out, an older guy in a flannel jacket caught up to me by the door. "Name's Mike Reynolds," he said quietly. "She did this to the last owner, too. Fines, threats, non-stop. Until they sold." He glanced back toward the room like Donna might appear behind him. "People are scared of her. The HOA isn't a community to her. It's leverage." A week into it, I started feeling that pressure in my ribs, the kind that makes you check your phone every 5 minutes, even when it's silent. It wasn't just annoyance anymore. It was the sense that I was being watched, judged, nudged out of my own home. And I'll be honest, one night I sat on my porch staring at the dark water and I had that thought you hate admitting out loud. Maybe I should just sell it. Not because I believed Donna, but because I was tired. Because grief already takes enough from you, and this felt like someone trying to take the last piece I'd rebuilt. Then I remembered what Linda told me, don't argue emotion. Argue paper. So the next morning I drove to the county recorder's office. It wasn't dramatic. It was fluorescent lighting, old filing cabinets, and a clerk who looked like she'd seen every kind of human mistake. I asked for the full chain of title on my parcel and anything connected to the lake. She slid a stack across the counter. Most people don't request this, she said. I'm learning, I told her. I sat there flipping through pages, not expecting much, until I saw a document that made my hands stop moving. It wasn't just my lot. It was the lake bed. A recorded transfer years back showing that the ownership of the lake bed had been separated from shoreline lots, and the entity that owned it was the LLC used in my closing. I read it twice, then a third time slower. If that was accurate, then the bottom of Cedar Hollow Lake wasn't community property. It was mine. I walked out to my truck, sat in the driver's seat, and just stared forward like my brain needed a minute to catch up. I wasn't excited, not yet. I was cautious, because when something looks that powerful, you assume there's a catch. Linda didn't even let me finish my sentence when I called. Email it, she said. All of it. 2 hours later, she called back. No catch, she said. You own the lake bed. Shoreline owners likely have easements for dock placement and access, but the ownership is yours. She paused. And that means Donna's threats aren't just harassment. They're an attempt to interfere with your property rights. That's when it stopped being a nuisance. It became a line. I didn't want to punish innocent neighbors. Most of them were just trying to enjoy their weekend's grill burgers, watch their kids jump off docks. They weren't the problem. The problem was Donna using the HOA like a battering ram. So I invited a few neighbors over quietly. Mike came, a woman named Susan, a guy named Toby who looked like he'd been holding in anger for years. They stood on my dock with coffee cups, eyes scanning the shoreline like they were afraid to be seen associating with me. Toby nodded toward the far side of the lake. Donna, he said. She's got 2 docks, one for her boat, one for her ego. Susan let out a dry laugh. She fined me because my flower pots were too bright. Mike said she threatened to lean on my buddy's place because he didn't attend a meeting. I didn't talk big. I just laid the documents on a patio table and let them read. There's a certain kind of silence that happens when people realize the bully isn't invincible. They just hadn't seen the right angle yet. Linda's next move was smart surgical. We pulled an old covenant from the 1950s tied to the lake's creation. It spelled out easement rights clearly, and it also spelled out consequences for abuse, harassment, or attempts to forcibly remove the lakebed owner. In plain language, it said access is a privilege tied to behavior, meaning Donna didn't get to weaponize the lake and still benefit from it. We drafted notices, formal, clean, unemotional. We protected the neighbors with permanent easements where appropriate. And for Donna's properties, we issued revocation notices based on documented harassment, false statements, and interference. It wasn't revenge. It was enforcement. Then came the morning Donna escalated into pure theater. That's how we ended up back where I started, her marching across my lawn with a surveyor and 2 deputies like she was staging a takeover. She held up a clipboard and announced, "This lake belongs to the community. You're obstructing access. You have 48 hours to remove yourself from shoreline use." One deputy shifted his weight like he'd heard this kind of confidence from the wrong person before. I didn't yell. I didn't get sarcastic. I said, "Deputy, do you mind if I show you something real quick?" Donna snapped. "You don't need to entertain him." But the deputy held up a hand. "Ma'am, let him talk." I walked inside, grabbed a folder I'd already prepared because I'm not new to conflict. I'm just new to this kind. I brought it back out and set it on the railing of my dock. I opened it to the recorded transfer. "This is the lake bed," I said, tapping the stamp and the book and page numbers. "It's owned by my LLC. Here's the recording." Donna's face didn't move at first, like her brain refused to accept it. Then she scoffed. That's not how it works." The surveyor leaned in, read it, and his eyebrows went up. He didn't say much, just a quiet, uncomfortable, "It appears to be recorded." Donna's voice got sharp. "The HOA controls this lake." I slid the next page forward. "Here's the covenant. Here's the easement language. And here's the part about harassment and interference." I looked right at Donna. "You brought law enforcement to intimidate me off my property. You sent threats. You claimed authority you don't have. And you copied half the neighborhood on false statements about my title." The deputy turned slightly toward Donna. "Ma'am, did you file any official complaint with the county before bringing us out here?" Donna's mouth opened, then closed. She tried again. "We had an emergency board vote." The deputy cut in, calm but firm. "A board vote doesn't override recorded property rights." Donna's cheeks flushed. "This is ridiculous. He's trying to steal community resources." "I didn't raise my voice. I just said no. I'm stopping you from stealing mine." Then I handed the deputy the final packet, Linda's letter, the notice of revocation for Donna's dock privileges, and a timeline of her communications. Screenshots, dates, names, not drama, receipts. The deputy read for about 10 seconds, then looked up and said, "Ma'am, you need to leave his property. Now." Donna stared at him like he'd just betrayed her. She took a step backward, then another, still trying to keep her posture like she was in charge. "You'll regret this," she hissed at me, and I said quietly, "No, you will." Because the moment she stepped off my lawn, the deputy turned to her and asked about the false statements, the harassment, and why she brought officers to enforce something that wasn't enforceable. The conversation shifted fast from "help us control him" to "explain yourself." And that's the part Donna couldn't handle. When the spotlight finally turned around, she didn't collapse in a cartoon way. She didn't melt into the lake. She just lost the only thing she'd been using to scare people: certainty. And when a bully loses certainty in front of witnesses, the whole room changes. One sentence, that's the lesson I took from it: paper beats power every single time.